Welcome back, everyone. Today we are chilling in the house, and literally chilling in the house. It is really cold, it's wintertime, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make a solar heater that doesn't actually have solar panels. It's just heating with the sun for free, besides material costs. So let's make one. Now there's a bunch of different kind that you can make, but readily available soda cans. So the aluminum is a really good heat conductor. So I'm gonna use empty, clean aluminum cans, which I've been collecting for a while now. So I've got the aluminum cans, and I went to the hardware store and I got some 8-foot 1x4s, basically to make the frame and the layout for everything here. So what I'm gonna do to get started is I just made a rough mock-up. I ended up with 13. This is about how wide I want it to be. None of this is an exact science. I'm just mocking this up as I go. So feel free to make this any size that you want, but I want it about yay big, about the size of one of my windows. So that's about 13 cans. So I measured out my 13 cans, made a mark. I'm gonna cut that, and then I'm gonna take that and put it back over here, cut that so I have 2 pieces for my top and my bottom. And then I'm just gonna measure the sides so I can make a box frame. All right, now that I have both of those cut out, those are gonna be the same size. So all my cans laid out like that, and then I'm gonna build my cans up however tall. So that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm going to put these down like so, like that, and the cans are gonna stand straight up, and I'm gonna measure how tall I'm gonna have them. So I'm gonna get a few more cans and stack them tall to see how tall I'm gonna have that, and then measure the distance between the two. All right, so that looks to be a good height. So I've got just my regular cans. I'm gonna do 13 across and 10 high. So now I'm gonna get my other wood, put it over the side, and measure the distance, mark it, and cut it. So now I have a frame. And boom, we have our frame. So everything is a nice little square that will fit perfectly from what we measured, hopefully. So now, when we get all the cans, 13 in a row and 10 high, they'll all fit in here nice and snug. So, of course, we have to actually make this frame become one with itself. So the way that I have it here, I'm just going to drill a hole through here, smaller than the screw that I'm gonna put in. I'm just gonna put in 2 screws on either side, nothing too crazy. This isn't gonna be like load bearing or anything. I might put a little bit of wood glue in between here just to make it a little extra secure. This is the part that's gonna take a while, since the cans, kind of in there snug, they do have a hole in one side, but they don't have a hole in the other side. So I'm going to figure out what exactly to do. Some people cut the whole thing off. Some people leave this hole. Some people, there's a lot of different ways to do this. So I'm gonna figure out what is gonna be the best method for me. All right, so I have both of the bottom corners. Now I'm gonna leave the top open for now, but I'm gonna do the exact same thing to the top. I just wanna make sure all the cans fit into place and are glued. That's pretty much the last step, just to make sure I can put it in like that, because these don't exactly just slot in. They kind of have to go into each other on that little lip. So just to make it easier on future me, I'm gonna do that. So bottom's in place. Now what I need to do is the cans. I've been putting it off long enough. Now I need to put a hole in the bottom of the cans. All right, so this is how I'm going to attempt to do it. I'm gonna do a 7/8 drill bit, which is just about the same size as the hole in the can, so it's gonna be even on both sides. This isn't a perfect circle, so it'll be a little bit more on this side, but it's good enough. Just need to get a good grip right about the middle, somewhere around there, and then kind of press into it, create an indent, and then just slowly go. And once we get in, just a few more, and we'll be able to get the outer edge. And there we go. I just have to get that little circle out of there, and I have to do that to all of these. Yay. Okay, now I have both the top and bottom. Some didn't go pretty, others did go pretty, but whatever. There's a hole in the top and there's a hole in the bottom, or there's one hole, however you want to think about it. All of these have been drilled out. Now I can lay them down like so, and the next part I need to drill is the bottom of the frame so the air can come into these. So I'm just gonna measure out right equal here, and then where the bottom of the can sits down here. It's not gonna be perfectly center since they're not laying in there perfectly, so I have to figure out where exactly they are down here, measure the height of the can and then the middle, and mark my holes for each one of those. And I am gonna make same thing, but this is gonna be a 1-inch hole, slightly bigger, because not all of these are perfectly center, and I might need to make it larger, but let's see how that goes. Well, I don't trust my measuring, so I just went to the top of each one of these, found about the middle, and then just got something straight, drew a line, and did that for all 13. Now I gotta figure out where the hole in the bottom is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line this up right to where it's gonna be up there, and I'm going to mark where the circle is and then just drill in the center of it. It looks something like that. And once I find the middle of that, I'll just measure from the bottom up for each one of those lines. If I had something straight, I could just do it that way, but we'll just do it like that. All right, just finished cutting all those out. So now we've got some breather holes, and I just got my other side from over there and put it smack up against this one, pop it up, make sure it's lined up, take my pencil on the inside. So now I have a template for the opposite side. All right, so I've got both sides drilled out. So I've got the inlet and the outlet up here, and I just got done cutting these to piece sides here. So that's gonna be our full system. All I did was cut, I rounded up to about 3 inches, should give more than enough like airflow to go through everything. Is about 3-inch space for the sides of these holes. So I put the little 3-inch blocks in just those 3 places. So air's gonna come in through those holes, through the tube cans, through here, and then this is blocked off in itself. So I'll make some sort of opening here, and then that will be the inlet to the house, nice hot air. And then inside of the house, we'll have it coming in through here. So I need to make some sort of opening here. It's gonna travel down that channel and then in here to be reheated. So it's a nice little cyclical range of heating the air that's already in the house. Instead of getting cold air from outside and having to heat it all the way up, we're just gonna heat the air that's already in the house. So now I've already drew a line through there. I don't have anything that's really big. I don't have one of those circular drill bits. So I think what I'm gonna do is just get a regular drill bit and go through here a bunch of times, maybe make a big hole, maybe just several holes. All right, I just finished up on the gingerbread man cutout. As you can tell, I did some holes and then tried to combine them as much as I can. It's good enough to get the airflow that I need. So now I have pretty much everything that I need to get it all into shape. I'm going to, for the most part, get everything, well, it's already in place. So what I have to do now is I need to get my backing, so my plywood backing, so I can get all of this in place. I do have a little bit of wood glue just to make sure things don't shift around, and I don't know, just to make sure that it's extra in place. So I'm gonna do a few wood glue places, and then for the rest of it, I'm gonna put the plywood down and then get all of that attached to the plywood, doing like little nails or screws or something on the bottom of that plywood into here. Now I have the plywood laying down on the floor, approximately where I want it. I have it across the edge. So I just have to mark the sides, well, 2 sides actually, and then I just have to cut there, and then I will have my backing. I had to cut this in half. If you have a truck or someone that has one, you don't have to, but I have a car, so I had to cut this thing in half to get it home. But it should be fine because all of these points are going to be glued slash screw nailed down. All right, freshly cut. Now I get to take that and put it on here. So I have weights on top of here to make sure all of the glue dries nice and tight, because of course not everything is a perfect flat area. But while I was doing that, I already measured where the hole is here and the hole is there, and it lines up beautifully. However, on the other side, this one isn't center. This one is not exactly center, but it's more center, and when I look in this way, everything lines up beautifully. But when I did it this way, it never lines up just right, because that's center and we're trying to center it there, and it never will be. It'll be like cut off slightly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take off the top of this whole thing, which is actually a lot easier than you might think. So if you just have a regular can opener, the blade side goes right on the inside, you clamp it, and you just use it. Just like that. Now we've got an opening, and we gotta fish that out. And now that I have given the glue time to dry, I've flipped it over, and I am going through drilling some holes just to make sure nothing cracks, because it's not the best wood in the world. But then we drill holes, we stick the nails all through the sides, so then I'm gonna get all the edges. That way it is 100% secured, not just with glue. And then I'm gonna flip it over and take the measurements on the inside so I can mark where to drill and not screw. We're gonna nail it. And once we have it physically attached and not just glued, then we can go through and do sealant. I did this because my wood wasn't perfectly straight and it was a little wonky. So I filled in all the gaps with some regular caulking, sealing, wherever I can, just to make sure this is totally airtight. I'm doing the best that I can with what I got. Now I'm gonna let that dry. Next up, we're going to paint this or stain it, depending on what you wanna do. I'm going to stain the outside. That's gonna be kind of in the elements. And of course, anything that the sun is gonna be touching, so everything here is gonna be black. Okay, so I finished the stain on the outside. Again, this is not something that you have to do, but I wanted to. Now on the inside, we're gonna spray paint it black. Now make sure you get, it doesn't have to be expensive, just make sure you get a flat black. Don't want anything glossy to reflect any sort of sun rays. You want black and you want it non-glossy. So get yourself some of this stuff, and everything on the inside needs to be black. We want to absorb that heat. All right, just got done spray painting this bad boy. Now we are black everywhere here so the sun can make this really, really hot. Let's get this to dry, bring it back inside, and really the last thing we gotta do is the cans. And once everything is dry, I brought it back in. So this is gonna be the bottom. So I'm placing all my cans here. So really all I need to do now is get some sort of caulking. You can use whichever you like, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it around the bottom of each one of these cans and seal it against this hole. You can't see it now because it's black. And then I'm gonna have all these sit here and cure up and then start stacking them. So as I'm stacking them, I'm just gonna put a bead of caulking around one, and then the other, and then the other, etc., until we reach the top. And all done. Now, in hindsight, I remember I said at the very top to wait to put that piece in, because of course the height of the cans, one needs to fit into each other and it kind of drops down. I had a bunch of trouble at the top. But if you do it fast enough and your caulking doesn't dry super quick, the stuff that I had does, you can pretty much like bend them out so they bow out a little bit, and you can put the top one in there. Top goes in, bottom is in, and then it's kind of like this, and then you push them all and secure them in. Again, that's dependent on your framing job, I should say. So now I'm gonna let this all dry, follow the instructions on how long your caulking needs to dry before paint. And once this is all dried off and the stankiness goes away, I can get some black paint and make all of this black. And now that all the cans are dried, as you can see, I've spray painted those. So now we have black on black. So we are almost completely done. So now all we have to do is just put whatever cover that you'd like. You can use plexiglass, you can use, there's a bunch of different things. Basically, you want something clear that's gonna be able to hold the heat. So PVC, a clear PVC, plexiglass, they sell greenhouse plastic. There's a bunch of different things that you can put over here. I just went with the cheapest one. It may not be the best for longevity, but it's a very thick plastic wrap that you use for greenhouses. So I'm gonna put that over the top. Basically just put a bead of sealant and then staple it in place. Should be okay, but maybe in the future I'll pony up the dough for something solid. But that's really all. And then I just need to figure out something for the inlet and outlet here, something that will fit in. So when I put this up like so, I can have a tube going from there into the house. So probably through my window. The cheapest thing that I could find is this stuff. I'll link it down below it's on Amazon. It's greenhouse plastic. So this is stuff you use for greenhouses. It lets most of the light in. I think it's like 90-something% of the light in. It's almost 100% transparent, but the cool thing is it traps heat. So that's the cool part. UV resistant, so it's not gonna yellow or get gross. So what I'm gonna do, I think the best thing to do is lay a bead of sealant all the way around and then put it down and then staple it in. So hopefully that's good enough. I don't know, what do you guys think? All right, got it cut. So now I have a nice little square. Of course, I've got a little bit of overlap. Just in case, maybe I'll fold it down, but now that I've got this cut out, I'm gonna fold it over and go around the edge with my caulking so that can get nice and flat, and then staple gun. You can see I've got it sealed all the way through. I sealed it on each one of its little areas just so air doesn't pass through over the top of the channels that I created. Stapled it down. Now I'm just gonna fold the excess off to the side, just in case, you know, air, water, whatnot decides to try to trickle in there. I'm gonna put it down like this and staple it in. So pretty simple. I got a piece of wood, cut it out to the size to fit in my window. It's gonna change for everyone depending on how big it is. So it's gonna fit right in the window. And I cut out the square and I cut out the circle for the two things I'm using. Again, you can use whatever you want. I set up my fan here. This is a really powerful fan, lots of air, pretty darn quiet. Again, if you want any of this stuff, just look below. So I have that, it'll go right into the wall with the little adapter, and it's got variable speeds on here, which is cool, so I can choose how much I want. I could have gone with something a little bit more fancy with like a temperature sensor, but I'm not gonna do that. Got this, I just got it with the screws all the way through, put a washer on there and a nut at the end. So this thing is super solid. It spins nice and freely. I did have to cut down on the end of this downspout. It came through, poked through. I just got a razor and trimmed around it so it's nice and flush against that. So that's set to go like that. This, on the other hand, this is where I had a problem. So the downspout, the white one that I was using for this, is way too short. So when I actually put up the unit, like that'll connect up, but the other one is like way too short, even extended all the way out. So I have to find something else to go through here. And I did have something from an old project. This is a RV tubing that can, it's like an accordion, it can stretch. So that's a perfect length. Actually might be a little bit too long, but that is round. And I made this not round. So I'm gonna have to go the hard route for this one, just because I'm doing this off the cuff. I'm gonna make a 3D printed adapter. Hopefully it'll work, but it's gonna be a square that turns into a circle. I'm gonna pop that in there. I'm gonna have to make two. I'm gonna pop one in here so I can use that. And then of course one on the actual solar heater so it can adapt on that one. All right, there's my little bad boy that I printed out. It basically goes from the size of the hole to the circular internal, external dimension thing. I made two of them actually. So one goes on here and the other one goes on the board that I'm putting in the window, so I can just slide that over. Got this put in with some screws. This one looks like it is pretty sealed, but could also put some sealant around here. Now I'm ready to install it. All right, I've got it outside and hooked up to the window. So that worked out beautifully. This one's working out all right. I just had to get the distance. I've got this one here temporarily to just hold it up at an angle. I'll probably have to find something later on. And I've got little breaks down there so this thing is not constantly touching the ground. So now I've got it all here. I know it's working because I touch it and it is crazy hot. So now we just go inside, turn on the fan, and we've got free heat from Captain Sunshine. Oh God, it's so bright. And here we are on the inside. I've got the fan running, so it's pulling air through all of that. And this is the intake. I don't have a fan on there, don't need it. It'll just suck the ambient temperature air in there, go through our heat, and pop out here. So let's see what the current temperature is. We've got sun outside, not direct sun. It's going through a little bit of a cloud right now, but let's see for cloudiness what we have. Let's see if I can actually pick it up. Got 81, 104, 105. There we go. Try to get the inside of it. 106, 107, so it's heating up now as more sun actually starts hitting it. So if I get the temperature here, 73, but if I get the temperature actually on the inside, I can feel the heat coming through without the fan on, but if I get it in here, I'm looking at 112, 113, and that is still with a big old cloud up there in our way. Well, I guess technically it's working, not as well as I thought, and I think the reason is, if you can see that, the sun is heating up the plastic and it's just touching the cans. Like, the cans are nice and hot, but it's not giving that nice little air bubble to stay warm. The wind's just passing over this and cooling the cans. So I guess the plastic idea is not going to work unless you keep it really, really taut, or while you're making it, you put maybe like 2 strips of thin wood in there so it stays bubbled. So now I have to fix this. All right, removed the old goop, and bam, just like that, went to the hardware store and got some plastic covering. I'll link it down below. I forgot what it's called. It's like poly something. And you can see around the sides. Go ahead and put some caulking just to make sure, and then I put in nails. You can put screws, whatever, just to make sure it's secured. It's very rigid, so you can, yeah, that's not going anywhere. It's not going to be dipping down or anything like that. So that is good, clear, sealed, waterproofed. Now I got to wait for the sun to actually hit it, because right now it's coming in like this, and I need to wait for it to come in, and we can test how hot it gets. With the new rigid plastic that I put on top there, I think we're getting some really good temperatures today. Like, just feeling the fan without it being on, it is hot. I've got my temperature probe inside, and it's showing 130 degrees just inside that little tunnel. 131, it's just climbing. So take that little probe out, and we will go back to our regular thermogun, and we'll go ahead and turn this on. We'll just turn it on about halfway, get the fan going, and nice hot air. I can definitely feel that. It's just really hard for this little gun to get a good read, so it's not getting the fan blades. Yeah, see how there's a difference? But with that temperature probe, we're getting about 130. If I can get a decent reading with the gun. But we're probably getting about 130 coming through here. And it's definitely not 130 degrees outside. We've got 130 degrees coming in, regardless of outside temperatures. Hope you guys enjoyed my little project here. If you guys want to make this stuff, I'll link whatever I can down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.